One story, of course, dominating the news today, and that's Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Chancellor Rishi Sunak both being fined by the police for attending events in Downing Street during the lockdown of 2020. Of course, breaking the very rules that they themselves had set. Well, the Prime Minister issued an apology last night, so let's take a look.
I've received a fixed penalty notice from the Metropolitan Police relating to an event in Downing Street on the 19th of June 2020. And let me say immediately that I've paid the fine and I once again offer a full apology. On a day that happened to be my birthday, there was a brief gathering in the Cabinet Room shortly after 2 p.m, lasting for less than 10 minutes, during which people I work with kindly passed on their good wishes. And I have to say, in all frankness, at that time, it did not occur to me that this might have been a breach of the rules.
Well, of course, the media are having a field day with this morning, and depending on which way they lie politically, some are saying that he must resign, whereas others are saying that there's nothing to see here, let's get on with the important business of running the country. Where do you stand on it, Denise?
Well, the answer to my question of do I think he should resign? No, because I've said for many reasons in the last 2 years, as far as I'm concerned, it's sort of better the devil you know. I have no doubt, and I'm not as informed as a lot of people on the situation in the Ukraine, but I do believe that he is doing the best job he can for that. However, this is not about that, and I've always hoped that it wouldn't be the dead cat, as they say, as to, oh, look what's happening, it's horrendous and terrible, which it is, that we forget what was happening during COVID. Excuse me. The fact that Boris was at this one birthday party doesn't escape the fact that these parties were happening all the way through COVID. Sorry about this. All the way through COVID throughout Downing Street, of which everybody was aware. I was very involved in COVID. I was very, very clued up on all the data, and I was in contact with people who had contact with people in Downing Street. No masks were ever worn. It was a different world out there. Now, we talk about 10 minutes where people could come in and bring a birthday cake. Well, 10 minutes is also time that I could have gone and seen my father, who was left alone during lockdown because we were all following the rules. When I drove up in 2020 to what ended up being his last Christmas, even though he wasn't sick at the time, I drove up with a dry mouth up the motorway because I knew I was in danger of being arrested. When we look back at the lunacy of what happened, people were being arrested on beaches. They were walking on a fell on their own in Wales and threatened with arrest, grappled to the floor in some cases. People weren't able to visit their family even when they were ailing. I remember my dad saying to me, can I just go to a little VE Day party with a few secret little friends? I said, Dad, happily for me, but unfortunately the media are making examples out of anyone on the television. You will be called akin to a murderer, so will I. And this was all going on. So the fact is, we cannot lessen the fact that people came in to bring a birthday cake because many people didn't have that luxury, and many people have had to say goodbye to friends and close family while they continued as if
OK, so playing devil's advocate on this a minute, because obviously we have to provide balance on this show. They were working together, all of these people. They were classed as key workers because they're, running the country. He's sitting in the Cabinet Room. He's been in there, best part of the afternoon, having 8 meetings, going one meeting after another. It's his birthday. Somebody brings in a cake, which apparently didn't come out of the box. A couple of people came in and just went, happy birthday. That could have been us. We were on air during this time, weren't I mean, that could have just been like you in your dressing room,
well, I
for
would
example.
have welcomed it, because I thought the rules were ridiculous. So I would have welcomed it, but I didn't make the rules for the rest of the country.
If you put it into the context of being at work, what interests me, I don't have a theory. It's just I'm reading the bits and bobs here, and I'm thinking. So what they're saying is Operation Hillman, as it's called. There are 12 other events that they're still looking into, and it's saying that Boris is believed to have attended at least 6 of them. Now, I'm wondering whether this is the most innocuous one that has been floated out at this point, because when I read this, I don't get terribly overexcited about the fact that somebody gave him a birthday cake in his office on his birthday, which he didn't eat. But I do wonder whether there's more to come.
Of course there is.
But I think it's difficult to say that when there are people like myself, you know, who was driving from one place to another because I was dropping my children off, all within the you know, I read the detail to the nail because I thought I don't want to be, you know, hassled. And I was like, OK, I piled all the kids in the car. I needed to take them to their dad. And that was a journey of more than what I was allowed to do. But, you know, within that childcare parameters, I was allowed to do it. And I packed paperwork because I knew, one, being black, and two, having the bikes on the roof of the car
God forbid.
was going to be like a big red flag. So, yes, it was just a cake and it was just this and it was just that. But when you're dealing with people that... I mean, I've still got a family member now that's actually still dealing with long COVID. You know, Katie followed those rules to
Well, Boris
the
himself
letter.
had COVID very seriously.
Yeah.
It's that language of it was just a cake, it was just this. It's just like, you're trying to trivialise your situation, but when people went for what they thought was a walk, but they were holding a coffee, it changed to it was a meet-up.
Yeah.
And they're people that have never broken the law in their life. They would feel so ashamed being plastered on the front page of a newspaper and reprimanded. It might have caused them like serious angst and worry, and in their communities they might have been ostracised, and now it's being trivialised for them, but not for us. And I support every single thing you said. I think you're absolutely right. And actually, this call for him to resign is a cop-out because it's like Matt Hancock slipped away and is rebranding himself. And it's like, I want accountability. I want it to be as serious for you as it was for us, and still is in some hospital trusts where you still can't have
the fact
visitor,
is that
you know?
they made the rules. They knew a lot of them were completely ridiculous, that were going to define people's lives going forward, that people were going to lose businesses, because if they'd been that scared for the reasons that they were making us scared, they wouldn't have all been together. And I'm not just talking about the ones personally attended by Boris and Rishi. I don't really care. It's the fact that we've all seen the pictures of... We all know that the invite went out for the bring your own booze. We all know that there was a picture of all the interns there together. If they were that scared, why were they there?
Yeah, I mean, again, Rishi Sunak has also issued an apology. I mean, again, reading the detail of this, it almost looks like he came in at the end of it expecting to be attending a COVID meeting, and then suddenly, you know, that's sort of what he seems to be saying. But
you stop being disappointed in the end, though, because you
really
do get to the point where, like, I don't care because...
And I don't believe...
And also,
nowadays,
you know,
I've lost every trust in the government and the media.
I do understand about hospitals, because that is a different scenario for me, because the people in hospital are vulnerable because they're in hospital, whereas you can't necessarily argue that people in the workplace are vulnerable.
No, but
so I understand the hospital policy.
No, but the thing is, they said that we can't gather because we are likely to spread COVID to those who are vulnerable. And they said we are all vulnerable, but they all happily had parties. They had, don't tell me they didn't have older relatives, or they were going to go back to children. They ruined our children's education.
OK, well, let's watch this space on this, because, as I said, there's a few others of these to come out yet, and more detail. We did a poll on this, which was, should Boris resign? And 76% of you say that, yes, he should.
Wow.
So there you go, food for thought.